Life is a fragile thread, and when the world loses a shining star, we are reminded of just how precious every moment truly is. Tonight we gather not in sorrow alone, but in celebration, a celebration of voices that moved us, stories that shaped us, and lives that left an indelible mark on our hearts. These are not just obituaries. These are love letters to the legacies of the greats we've lost. So, as we reflect together, let us honor their memory the best way we can, by telling their stories, with love, with respect, and with gratitude. Few names in American cinema shine as brightly as Robert Redford. For decades, he wasn't just an actor or director, he was a symbol of storytelling itself. Born Charles Robert Redford Jr. in Santa Monica, California in 1936, he was raised in a working-class family that instilled in him grit and humility. Those early years weren't glamorous, but they planted the seeds of authenticity that would later define his performances. After attending the University of Colorado and spending time abroad in Europe, Redford discovered his passion for art and acting. His boyish good looks quickly caught the attention of Hollywood, but what truly made him stand out wasn't appearance. It was the quiet intensity he brought to every role. When Redford hit the screen in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid alongside Paul Newman in 1969, audiences were captivated. It wasn't just a Western, it was a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, the world had its new golden boy of Hollywood. And the truth is, Redford didn't just play the Sundance Kid. He became the Sundance Kid in our collective memory. That film cemented him as a leading man, but it was only the beginning. Career highlights. Through the 1970s and 80s, Redford delivered hit after hit. The Sting, All the President's Men, The Way We Were, and Out of Africa. Each role wasn't just entertainment, it was a mirror to American society at the time. In All the President's Men, his portrayal of journalist Bob Woodward brought the Watergate investigation to life and showed the power of truth in democracy. Yet, Redford's ambitions went beyond acting. In 1980, he made his directorial debut with Ordinary People, a quiet yet powerful family drama that stunned critics and audiences alike. The film won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. Overnight, Redford was no longer just a movie star. He was a world-class filmmaker, and his direction revealed something deeply personal, a man who understood humanity, pain, and healing at their core. But perhaps his most enduring contribution wasn't a single performance or film. It was the creation of the Sundance Institute and the Sundance Film Festival. Redford believed in the power of independent voices, of storytellers who might never be heard by mainstream Hollywood. Under his guidance, Sundance became the birthplace of countless careers, from Quentin Tarantino to Ava DuVernay. Think about that for a moment. Robert Redford didn't just tell stories, he gave others the chance to tell theirs. That is legacy in its purest form. And beyond film, Redford was a passionate environmentalist. He lent his name, his influence, and his resources to causes that protected the earth. He believed in the responsibility of each generation to leave the world better than they found it. That belief guided his activism until the very end. Final reflection. Robert Redford passed away on September 16, 2025, at the age of 89. His death shook the film community, but his presence, his art, is immortal. When we watch Butch Cassidy or The Sting or any of the dozens of classics he blessed us with, we don't just see an actor, we see a visionary. To the world, he was a legend. To independent filmmakers, he was a mentor. To his family and friends, he was simply Robert, a man who gave his heart to the art of storytelling. And so, as we say goodbye, we remember that legends don't fade. They echo across generations. Robert Redford's voice will forever echo in the halls of cinema. If you've ever tapped your foot to a rebellious anthem or smiled at a TV theme song that made you feel optimistic, chances are you've been touched by Sonny Curtis. Born in Meadow, Texas in 1937, Curtis grew up surrounded by the sounds of country and rockabilly. As a teenager, he played alongside Buddy Holly, one of rock's most revolutionary figures. But after Holly's tragic death in 1959, Sonny Curtis stepped forward as a member of the Crickets. He didn't just fill a role, he carried a torch. What set Curtis apart wasn't just his skill on guitar, it was his gift for songwriting. In 1960, he penned I Fought the Law. The song captured a spirit of rebellion that would inspire generations. Covered by the Bobby Fuller 4, The Clash, and even Green Day, it became one of the most iconic rock anthems of all time. That song alone would have secured his place in music history, but Sonny Curtis wasn't done. More than a theme song. In the early 1970s, Curtis was asked to write the theme for a new sitcom starring Mary Tyler Moore. The result? Love Is All Around. a gentle, hopeful melody with lyrics that promised, "You're gonna make it after all." For millions of Americans, that song wasn't just a theme tune, it was a mantra, a reminder that life, even in its challenges, held promise. Decade after decade, Curtis's songs were recorded by stars like the Everly Brothers, Ricky Nelson, Glenn Campbell, and Joan Jett. He moved seamlessly between genres, country, rock, pop, always staying true to the heart of the song. His words connected, his melodies lasted. Final reflection on Sonny Curtis. Sonny Curtis passed away on September 19, 2025, at the age of 88. His name may not have always been on the marquee, but his fingerprints are on the soundtrack of American life. He gave us rebellion through I Fought the Law. He gave us hope through Love Is All Around. And he gave us countless moments of joy through his music. We often remember singers as the stars, but tonight we remember the songwriter. Sonny Curtis reminded us that behind every unforgettable song is a poet who dares to put feelings into words. His melodies will live forever. From rebellion we move to romance, from the youthful strum of a guitar to the quiet poetry of a lyricist who painted emotions with words. Alan Bergman, born in Brooklyn in 1925, was one half of one of Hollywood's greatest songwriting duos. Alongside his wife, Marilyn Bergman, Alan gave us some of the most elegant and emotional lyrics in film history. Their words weren't just rhymes, they were feelings, captured with breathtaking honesty. Together, the Bergmans wrote The Windmills of Your Mind, a haunting meditation on love and memory. They gave us The Way We Were, immortalized by Barbra Streisand, a song that still brings tears decades later. And they wrote for films like Yentl, The Thomas Crown Affair, and countless others. Their lyrics were performed by Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Streisand, and Michael Jackson. It is no exaggeration to say the Bergmans defined what movie romance sounded like. Fornes. Career recognition. Alan and Marilyn won 3 Academy Awards, 4 Emmys, and 2 Grammys. But more than trophies, they won hearts. Their songs had the power to stop time, to pull you into a moment you thought you'd forgotten. Think of The Way We Were. That first line, "Memories light the corners of my mind," instantly transports you back to a moment of love, of loss, of nostalgia. That is the genius of Alan Bergman. Even in his later years, Alan continued to collaborate, to mentor, and to celebrate the next generation of songwriters. He lived nearly a century, and through it all, he kept proving that words, when chosen with care, can change the world. Fornes. Final reflection on Alan Bergman. Alan Bergman passed away on September 25, 2025, at the age of 99. He outlived his beloved Marilyn, and now the two are reunited in memory. Together, they left behind a body of work that is, in a word, timeless. Songs end. Movies fade to credits. But the emotions they stirred linger on. Alan Bergman's lyrics will continue to stir souls for decades to come, reminding us of love, of longing, and of the beauty of memory. Fornes. Closing this part, Sonny Curtis gave us rebellion and optimism. Alan Bergman gave us romance and nostalgia. 2 very different songwriters, 2 very different legacies, and yet both understood the same truth. Music is more than sound. It is memory. It is emotion. It is legacy. As we continue, we'll honor others who left their mark not just in the arts, but in the worlds of sports, culture, and beyond. Because greatness comes in many forms, whether it's on a basketball court, on a stage, or even through the power of social media. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1937, Raveling's childhood was marked by hardship. He lost both parents early in life and was raised by his grandmother. But even in those difficult beginnings, he carried with him a sense of determination that would define his journey. Basketball became his path forward. After playing at Villanova, he stepped into coaching, breaking barriers at a time when college basketball was still resistant to diversity. In 1972, he became the first black head coach in what is now known as the Pac-12, leading Washington State. Later, he coached at Iowa and USC, leaving an indelible mark on the sport. Yet, coaching was just one part of Raveling's story. Fornes. The civil rights connection. One of the most remarkable moments of his life didn't happen in an arena. It happened in Washington, D.C. in 1963. George Raveling volunteered as a security guard during the historic March on Washington. After Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech, Raveling, standing nearby, asked Dr. King if he could have the copy of the speech. King handed it to him. For decades, Raveling safeguarded that original document, a priceless piece of American history. Eventually, he shared it with the Smithsonian, ensuring that this artifact of hope and justice belonged to the world. That single act captures who Raveling was. A man who understood that history isn't just lived, it must be preserved. Fornes. Nike and global influence. After retiring from coaching, Raveling's second act was just as influential. He joined Nike and became its global director of basketball. In that role, he played a pivotal part in persuading a young Michael Jordan to sign with Nike. That decision didn't just change Jordan's life, it changed the sports and fashion industries forever. The Air Jordan line became a global phenomenon, and Raveling was one of the visionaries who saw its potential. Through it all, he mentored players, coaches, and leaders. He believed basketball wasn't just a sport, it was a vehicle for opportunity, for education, and for global connection. Fondness. Final reflection on George Raveling. George Raveling passed away on September 1, 2025, at the age of 88. His story is one of breaking barriers, lifting others, and leaving behind footprints too large to erase. He was a coach, yes, but he was also a civil rights witness, a cultural influencer, and a man who helped shape modern basketball as we know it. His life reminds us that greatness is not measured by trophies alone, but by the lives you touch and the history you carry forward. George Raveling touched countless lives, and in doing so became a legend not just of basketball, but of humanity. From the basketball court, we turn to a story that proves it is never too late to shine. Helen Ruth Elam Van Winkle. The world knew her as Baddie Winkle. Born in Hazard, Kentucky in 1928, she lived what many would consider an ordinary life. She married, raised children, worked hard, and by her 80s, she was a widow living quietly in Kentucky. But fate had a different plan. At age 85, her great-granddaughter posted a photo of her in cutoff shorts and a tie-dye shirt on Twitter with the caption, "Stealing your man since 1928." Overnight, Helen became Baddie Winkle, an internet star with a bold attitude and a fashion sense that refused to play by the rules. And just like that, she became a viral sensation. Fondness. An icon of joy and defiance. Baddie Winkle embraced her newfound fame with humor, flair, and authenticity. She posed in outrageous outfits, cracked cheeky jokes, and became a beacon of self-expression. Her Instagram grew to millions of followers. She walked red carpets at award shows, appeared in commercials, and collaborated with major brands. Miley Cyrus invited her to the MTV Video Music Awards. She even modeled for major fashion campaigns, at an age when most people are told to fade quietly into the background. But behind the neon clothes and mischievous captions was something deeper. A message. Baddie Winkle showed the world that aging does not mean giving up joy. It does not mean losing your spark. She became an unlikely role model, not just for seniors but for anyone who felt out of place, anyone who needed permission to be themselves. Fondness. Final reflection on Baddie Winkle. Baddie Winkle passed away on September 4, 2025, at the age of 97. For nearly a decade, she redefined what it meant to grow old. She reminded us that fun doesn't expire, that fashion has no age, and that laughter is timeless. Her legacy is not in films or songs, but in joy. She made millions smile, and in doing so, she turned her twilight years into a global stage. Baddie Winkle's life tells us one important truth. No matter your age, it's never too late to start living out loud. Fondness. Closing this part, George Raveling fought for opportunity and preserved history. Baddie Winkle fought stereotypes and spread laughter. Both, in their own ways, taught us about courage. Both reminded us that life's second acts can be just as powerful as the first. As we move into our final section, we honor a man who brought unforgettable characters to our screens late in life, Jerry Adler, and then we'll close with reflections on what all these lives teach us about memory, legacy, and love.